I think, yeah, if you look at what's happened to the cost of hardware and software, I think rather than trying to manage everything to the nth degree, it's actually far cheaper to have a lot of redundancy in your system. So that doesn't matter if 20% of your systems go down, who cares? Jobs migrate to someplace else and things still keep going on. Means if you look at Google's infrastructure today, I don't think the IT managers at Google have any clue how many systems are down. But that doesn't matter. Their uptime is still 100%.
And is that just a matter of resources, throwing enough resources at the problem, or is it...
It's the architecture. It's throwing resources, and it's the architecture where if one element fails, jobs migrate to another element. Because hardware is really becoming... I mean, some of the things in our startups, we are looking at these small compute elements that we call modes. I think these are things coming down to a few dollars range. So it's really becoming a very different game. If you look at even from a macro perspective, companies that are purely in the hardware business are not getting rewarded as much because margins are down in that business, versus values really is in the software deriving value from data. And it's really the things we talked about Bebo earlier, why AOL paid so much for Bebo. Part of the thing is that what Bebo is doing is they have so much data knowledge about their community that you can leverage that to monetize it.
And what about when you talk about the data and the data set out there for internet users, what about privacy concerns? Do you think that it will be the case that consumers will be comfortable that they have enough control over it, or will it be that technology will be able to guarantee that says you own your data set on the web and no one is going to be able to see it unless you let them do that?
I think it's a very interesting, and I would call it a new frontier. There is an interesting balance between somebody having data about you to better serve you versus somebody using that to exploit you. I think the thing I'm starting to look a lot into, this whole thing, the new Google initiative and Microsoft going after it, putting your medical data out there. Because right now it's a big problem that if you go to see a doctor at another clinic, you have to physically go to a clinic to get your medical data, which is your data. You should own it to take it someplace else because of HIPAA compliance issues. How do you get this data out there on the web, but still in a secure fashion so that it can't be exploited? So I think it's a very interesting topic. I've kind of started talking to people in that area, but I think, there are plus and minuses. You need to have things out there so that people can, if you expect everything for free, somebody is going to want your data so that they can target ads to you, so you can't have it both ways.
And what about the Facebook Beacon snafu, where they really rolled some things out without telling people? And is that something that, what did you learn from that, or what do you think about that?
That was actually, that's clearly an area where I think they should have been a lot more careful about it. And I think that's, as an industry, people will learn that you can't just try things out. I think you have to understand, especially something like Facebook, when you are such a meaningful player out there, you have to think more carefully about the implications of your action before you do that.
And are you looking at companies that can help solve that sort of help guarantee that consumers have control over it? Or, when you think about privacy, how that impacts whether or not you'll fund a deal? You said
I'm actually exploring that area. Haven't found anything that kind of has blown me away where I said, okay, I want to jump into that. But that's clearly one of the areas I'm exploring, is really both in context of the medical side and broadly your data. Means it's good. Means the way I think about it, if I'm traveling to New York, all of a sudden I need medical care, I would like the physician at a hospital in New York to have access to my data. But at the same time, I don't want my data available where somebody could misuse it. So there is kind of clearly a balance there. I think it's a great opportunity. I have not come across somebody who kind of has come up with a very sensible approach to it. But if you know somebody, would love to.
Well, the companies that startup companies on Vader that see this will know that and how to pitch you.
Absolutely.
Okay, Ram, thanks so much.
Thank you.